Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to day 19 of the Herbally-Inspired Holiday Challenge. We're coming down to the end here. So today I am in the kitchen, as you can see again, because I wanted to share with you a new twist on a kind of like a sweet treat that people sometimes make over the holidays, and that is like candied nuts. And so today we're going to talk about an herb that you can add to your candied nuts, a few herbs that you can add that will help to add a health benefit as well as a delicious flavor. And so our plant of the day is actually, believe it or not, I have one growing, turmeric. Pull this over here. And this is a turmeric plant, and I was going to pull it out of the, I don't think I can get it out. It's so root bound in here. What happened was I ordered some turmeric roots, rhizomes. They're related to ginger, so this is not unlike what ginger looks like. And I was supposed to plant them out in my garden and grow them all summer, and I completely forgot about them. And I found them sometime in September. And where I live, of course, it's winter. In fact, we're getting our first snow of the year right now. And so I decided to plant them in pots inside my house and just kind of see what happened. I didn't want to try to keep them for the next year. So this is my turmeric plant. I'm going to let it grow a little bit more. Once it starts to kind of die back on top, I will harvest it and see how it looks. And maybe replant it outside in the spring. So turmeric is another plant from, I think it's from India originally, or that Southeast Asia area. And so it does not grow as a perennial around in most of the United States. But it has a lot of great properties, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it because it is like the go-to herb now for anti-inflammatory properties. And so I wanted to share this, the card here from the Herbcrafter's Tarot with you. And basically, turmeric, it says on the card, turmeric stabilizes the body, increasing vitality and strength. Remember to care for yourself at the root. And the picture on here is actually showing a big dye pot full of turmeric that they're using to dye old clothes. They have clothes out on the line that have already dyed, and some white clothing that they're getting ready to dye with as well. You can see the little root there on the table in front, and the powdered turmeric as well. So it says, celebrate your community and nourish yourself by having a turmeric dye party with your friends. Sounds kind of fun, but I think I would wait until summer when I could do it outside and not stain all of my counters, because it does stain everything. So like I said, turmeric is mostly known for its anti-inflammatory properties. And of course, inflammation, everything's anti-inflammation, but inflammation is a natural process in the body that we need when there's sort of an acute situation. When you get a cut, it gets inflamed, and that serves an actual purpose in the body. But what we don't want is we don't want chronic inflammation. And so turmeric is one of these plants that you can take on a regular basis to help just kind of balance that out. And what it does, part of what it does is that it helps to, we always think, oh, I need to do a cleanse, a detox. But what you really want is you want to keep yourself detoxed and cleansed all the time. And so it really helps the liver to kind of continually keep itself cleaned and keep working properly. The daily use of turmeric is also for sort of keeping that inflammation in your musculoskeletal system, low inflammation as well. And so it is a great herb that you could take as a daily tonic. And of course, the golden milk that I showed you the other day, it's one of the key ingredients with the ginger and the cinnamon. So today, what I want to show you, oh, and I just wanted to remind you of one other thing, is that with the curcumin, or curcumin, which is the active ingredient, They have found that black pepper helps the absorption and activation, the bioavailability of that constituent, like 2,000%. So just grind a little black pepper into whatever you're making with turmeric, and that will help you get the benefits of it more readily. You can buy supplements already made that have all the, like, the activated parts of it and so on, but I always like using, of course, the actual herbs and spices. So today what I'm going to show you how to do is how to create a different type of spice mix than yesterday that you can use for a bunch of different things. Now, I have a commercially bought blend, Baharat spice, from my local spice shop. This woman has a great shop close by in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And her blend contains paprika, coriander, cumin, cinnamon, allspice, cardamom, cloves, mace, nutmeg, mint, and black pepper. So this is the type of spices that you can combine together for a different type of a flavor. And what I want to show you today is I'm once again going to be pulling out my handy dandy mortar and pestle. And in here I have crushed up some cardamom. If you haven't used cardamom before, it's a wonderful spice, very potent. Don't use a lot of it. And it has a lot of the same type of properties as these other warming spices. It helps with digestion and other properties. And so I've ground up some cardamom, which you can pop these open, and it has, like, they look like little mouse turds, but they're not. They're just the inside little seed part. In this case, when I made the when we made the chai, we used cardamom. Just put the whole pods in, but in this case, I'm going to take it out of the pod, put it in here, ground this up. I've added some salt, and now I'm going to add my turmeric. This is actually from the other night that we had. I'm going to mix those all together. And then I'm going to add this. I could keep this mix like this, because the other ingredient in this type of spice mix is often sugars or some kind of sweetener. And so you can create the mix that has a sugar or sweetener in it. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about sugar today and just give you a little heads up on something that you might not be aware of. So a number, we use more sugar around the holidays, and I have sugar in my house. I don't eat a lot of sugar, but I like to use this coconut sugar. And the reason why I use that is partly because it has kind of like a brown sugar flavor, and it also has a lower glycemic index, which means it doesn't give you as much of a sugar rush as regular sugar. You can always, of course, use a honey. This is some honey. This is basil infused honey. I should have used this yesterday, right? And so you can add some honey. You can add, of course, I always use maple syrup because I live in New England when I'm adding and making my, doing a lot of my cooking. But sometimes you just want a regular white sugar, just your basic granulated sugar. And so I just want to make sure that you're aware that a number of years ago, genetically modified sugar beets were approved for use. And so when you go to the store, if you're going to get regular white sugar, the big 5-pound bags that you can get are more likely than not genetically modified sugar beet sugar. And so if you are trying to stay away from GMOs, then you want to make sure that when you go to the store and you get a white sugar or a brown sugar or any of those things, that you make sure it actually says cane sugar on it. Because sugar cane itself, the actual sugar cane, is not genetically modified. Most other sugars, that's just plain old cheap sugar, is. So that's just a little piece of information in case that is of concern to you. I personally try to stay away from that as much as possible. Again, like we were talking about yesterday, why put stuff into you that you don't need? You might as well try to stay away from it. So the recipe today is basically just you take some egg white, you throw your nuts into the egg white, and kind of coat them with the egg white. I'm using pecans, which I love. But some people are allergic to nuts. And so another great alternative is to use the pepitas, these pumpkin seeds, which are much more neutral and less likely to have to worry about someone being allergic to that. So I'm just going to coat my nuts with this. It's egg white. You don't have to use the egg white. You can basically just use some other kind of liquid, melted butter, melted coconut oil, something like that, regular oil, and put that in. Then I'm going to add some of my coconut sugar and some of my turmeric spice blend. Sprinkle that in. And I just want to remind you, when we were talking about cinnamon the other day, there's cinnamon in this as well, that cinnamon and the cardamom as well both have the ability to help with balancing blood sugar. So they are great spices to use when you are eating something sweet, adding those in. All right, so I got my nuts coated here. Notice I'm using a red, so I don't get I'm using something that's already dark, so I do not get a turmeric colored white spatula. And I'm just going to lay these out on a piece of parchment paper and throw them in my oven and let them roast. And you don't have to use the egg white. You can just simply, you could even do a quick version of this by putting them in a pan on the stove top, melt some butter, melt in some sweetener of some sort, throw in your spices, throw in your nuts, and then just let it dry out on a piece of parchment paper. But I am going to roast them because I did the egg whites. So that is pretty much all I want to share with you today. Another great way that you can add these healthful spices into something that's going to be like sugary. Adding in these healthful spices helps to keep the inflammation down and add some of the other benefits as well. Another great way to use these types of Spice Island type spice mixes is on if you're making a homemade sweet potato fries or regular potato fries. They are fantastic coating the outside of those, doing like an oven baked fry. So thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.